This season, we're taking a home that was outdated and barely functional and turning it into our client's dream home. We got a tree root here that's growing at least 15 feet in from the outside walls. Well, Jason, this is our gas hookups here, and it looks like we kind of ran into a little bit of an issue where the range goes.
Smile. You woke up in Texas, one of the fastest growing states in the country. Meet Jim Dutton.
Tools make the job. It ain't a good day till we tear something up.
Contractor and syndicated radio show host.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Along with the Texas Home Improvement team.
Oh, look how beautiful it is.
Here to show you how to get the job done right and protect you from out-of-state bootleg contractors.
And that's what you get when you hire a bootleg contractor.
This is Texas Home Improvement.
All right, as you can see, it's probably not a great day to be working outside, but we got a lot of work going on inside, and I just stopped by to see how the progress is going. All right, we're moving the plumbing today. You know, we looked at the plumbing when the bathroom was here and we had the wall and all that. Well, we're gonna have to dig a trench through the concrete in order to move this plumbing. One of the things you're gonna notice, there's rebar in this concrete. I like that much better than I like wire mesh that lays in the bottom. And I don't care if it's a driveway, patio, sidewalks, stick with the rebar. It just does a much better job because you're able to support it and get it in the middle of the concrete because you're not stepping on it when you're walking through. You've got big enough squares to step between the rebar. When you use wire mesh, it's just little 6-inch squares. You're pushing it under the concrete. It's really not doing what you need it to do, holding the concrete together for when it cracks, because all concrete is going to crack. The steel holds it together when it does crack. Now, the other thing you got to be careful of when somebody's jackhammering through a slab is how long of trench they're wanting to dig. We're only going about 6 foot here, not a big deal, but sometimes they want to start trenching 20, 30 feet across the slab. You're basically cutting that foundation in two. You're killing it. You need to just limit how far you run these trenches and stuff. And I'll show you a couple things. You know, all this pipe is going to have to be moved into that bathroom over there. Lead underneath the toilet. That's the old way of doing the plumbing. That's back when we used to use cast iron, and you can see a little bit of the cast iron right there. The cast iron on older homes is deteriorating and having to be replaced nowadays with PVC. So if you've got an older home that has cast iron pipe, just a word to the wise, be prepared that somewhere down the road, you're going to be replacing that. Never heard me say it? Tools make the job. Well, Jason, this is where we had the termite issues, and it looks like you guys got that taken care of already.
Yeah, so what we did, we saw what was eaten up by the termites. We came back and put 2x4 treated green plate down, and we're good to go.
And looks like the studs themselves, even though it shows just a little bit on the surface here, everything was still solid, so there really is not a reason to replace those.
Right, yeah, if you poke in them, they're still solid and structurally sound.
Good. Well, Jason, this is our gas hookups here, and it looks like we kind of ran into a little bit of an issue where the range goes.
Yeah, if you see the line on the ground, these two stub outs come right where two cabinets are going to come together and meet. So what we're going to do is flip these two to the other side, which this is the customer shutoff.
Which code requires.
Code requires. We'll modify the drawer. That way the customer will have access and we'll be in compliance.
Yeah, don't you love it when code gets in the way of cosmetics?
Yeah.
Here's some stuff you need to know.
All right, we take a lot of calls on the show about septic versus aerobic systems. The big difference between a septic tank and aerobic tank, when you have septic tanks, you typically have one tank that gets all the trash into it. You got a second tank that the fluid goes into from the first tank, and then it goes out in through a leach field that soaks into the ground. It's a perforated pipe with gravel around it to allow the moisture to soak out of the pipe and soak into the ground. When you're dealing with an aerobic system, you're dealing with one large tank that goes in the ground and has 3 chambers, and it moves from one chamber to the other, each time getting cleaner. By the time they pump it out of the 3rd chamber, it's just a sprinkler system going out onto your yard, but that water has 0 nutrients. So it's not doing your plants and grass a whole lot of good, but it does really mimic a regular city sewer treatment plant. So you don't have to worry about having too much company and having an overflow problem. Yeah, Jason, I'm gonna head over to Floor and Decor to take a look at some flooring. Shelly, how are you today?
Hi, Jim. How are you? Nice to see you.
Well, I'm doing all right, but we got a project going I need to get a little help with.
Okay.
We need hard floor throughout the house, one surface. They want wood, or at least a wood look, and you know I don't like wood in the kitchen.
I know.
They got a dog running around, so you know we're gonna have nails to deal with, plus kids. What can you help me with?
Well, we've got a lot of really good options other than wood. So, you ready to take a look?
Let's go take a look. Well, it looks like the first one you're gonna show me is tile.
Actually, it is. It's a porcelain plank tile that mimics the wood. It even has the little knot holes and the rings in it. So it has a nice texture, so it gives that hand scrape look. And that's another opportunity for your pets. It's not gonna, they're not gonna slide over it like a regular tile. It's gonna have some grip, so good for pets. It's obviously water resistant because it's tile, and it has that wood look. So this is just another thought that we could use for instead of wood.
I notice this one is porcelain, and is there a difference between porcelain and regular tile?
Absolutely. They're baked at different temperatures, so one is more dense than the other. Okay. So porcelain being the better, more dense product.
More durable?
Absolutely, yes.
Kind of the other question I have when it comes to tile is grout lines.
Okay.
And the grout tends to stand out on this one.
In this one it is. They're just showing the pattern. So that's why we did the displays, because if you want to do a design, you use a lighter grout if it's a darker tile to give you the design. So it's a pattern. So if you don't want it to show up and mimic the real wood, you would obviously use a smaller, but a grout line that's, the color is probably a charcoal or something a little bit darker, so it actually kind of blends in.
Okay. What else we got?
Okay, let's go.
All right, Shelly, what do we got here?
Well, this is one of our Hydro Shield laminates. Again, water resistant and pet friendly. And what I mean by that is, again, it's got some texture to it. So this was one that I would recommend based on the texture and the dog's not running around and sliding everywhere. So it's definitely got some nice grit to it.
Well, and you're talking about the texture. When you feel it, you can't tell, and the tile was the same way.
Right.
You can't tell this is not wood.
Nope, you can't. And it looks like it and feels like it. So. And it's something you can put in the kitchen. Oh yeah, water resistant, okay. So this is kind of dark, but I noticed the other display right next door, it can go very light as well. We obviously have lots of different colors to choose from, so once we decide what color palette we want to go to, we'll choose it. But I suggest that we pick something, again, with a little texture. This one is smooth.
Okay.
And it's still water resistant for the pet, but again, you want to think about its paws running around it. It's going to slide everywhere, so.
That can be fun though. Well, Shelly, tell me about this one.
This is one of our new core luxury vinyl products. 100% waterproof. So I know, kitchen, right? And it also, you've got your knot holes, and the texture, if you rub your hand across it, it just feels like the hand scraped wood.
It does. I mean, you almost want to look for a splinter on this one.
Yeah. It's got a nice texture. So again, pets, they're going to have something to grip. So, and it's soft on your feet, so it's not like tile, like we were talking about the tile earlier.
Right.
So this is just another option that would go wonderful in the kitchen.
Now you mentioned this is a luxury vinyl. I see on the back side that it's cork.
Cork.
And usually cork, standing on cork is pretty soft on the feet.
It's soft. It gives you a little more cushion for sure. But if you flip it over, you can tell that it's still very rigid. It's got a nice core. So it's going to be it's going to live up to, well, it's a lifetime warranty. So
this would probably do well in one area where we got an addition onto the house, and we're going to have a joint there. So I was kind of shying away from tile because of that joint.
well, this would be perfect because it floats.
A floating, perfect.
Floating floor.
Not having to worry about being glued down. And nice thing about floating floors, as things move a little bit, the floor has some give to it.
That's right. And it's nice and sturdy.
I think we may have a winner.
Yay!
Well, Shelley, I'm really leaning towards this, so let us go. We'll get our final colors picked and stuff, and we can come back and start looking at the color choices
There
to
are
get this
many.
to mix in with everything else. And you say there's many, but I'm hoping there's not too many that we can't get a decision out of the homeowner.
Well, I know. Well, obviously, I take it down to at least 3, but once you figure out what color you want, then that'll also bring down our selection for sure.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right, so the framers have finished expanding the laundry room. They still got to take the wall out in between, but that's going to wait until they're ready to hang sheetrock and stuff. And we're still going to have a pony wall put in here, but you can see with the sill plate how far over it's going to come. And what that's going to do is give us a clean opening from the backyard into where the new bathroom's going to be. And this area can actually be used as kind of a bar area or storage or whatever the homeowners decide they want to use it for. So we got our new wall built here. This is where we had an issue where the wall had bowed a little bit. Well, we've got our stud running all the way up to stiffen everything up again. But you can see down here, we're flush with the studs that were in the wall before. Up here, we're out just a little bit. And we'll end up filling this in just with some shims and stuff so we can bring our sheetrock over it. But we've now put the integrity back into this wall where it's going to take the load and keep this house looking good for years to come. We got our framing going in. You can see we've got our new beams going in. These are laminated beams. Now this one here is a 10-inch beam, and that's taking the support where we have our little fur down. Then we got our 14-inch laminated beam that came up across the kitchen here. You know, this is where the original wall was. Now we've pushed it back, so we had to support where all the roof drops came to give the roof support and stuff. And one of the key factors is at each end, you gotta make sure you got plenty of 2x4s to support it. Now, whether you put a 4x4, 2x4s, 2x6s, all depends on what the engineers determine is the load of that ceiling up there. You know, we talk about this on the radio show all the time. There's a couple things that really tend to cause foundation problems. Tree roots and leaking pipes. Now, the question is, what came first, the leaking pipe or the tree root? We got a tree root here that's growing at least 15 feet in from the outside walls. You know, some people will tell you tree roots won't grow under a foundation because there's no light. There's no light underground anywhere anyways. That tree root doesn't know where it's going. All it knows is it's looking for moisture. And if you got tree roots growing up under your foundation like this, likely you're going to have a foundation problem at some point in time. All right, so now we're in what used to be the old dining room. This is a chandelier from the middle of the dining room, and we got that recess up there. It's all been reframed so that it's going to be one straight ceiling coming across. We're going to still knock holes and take that sheetrock out up there because we don't want to create a spot that could become a fire trap if there was ever a fire in the house. That can just create all kinds of issues down the road. So you always want to have everything open where if there's a fire, it can be gotten to. But as you can see, once this is done, we're going to have some gorgeous space here for an office pantry, closet, it's gonna be a new house. When you're doing all the framing, some of the things you have to consider is how are you gonna put sheetrock on it and hold it in place. And you're gonna notice they added some kickers up there. They're just little nail boards so that you got something to attach sheetrock to in these odd places. Because if you don't have that, if you don't think about it when you're doing the framing, it comes time to hang sheetrock and you're gonna have sags and places where the sheetrock's real loose. You gotta really try to avoid that. Now, this is our new pantry. You know, we had our original wall here, we pushed it back. This is now our walk-in pantry that used to be part of the dining room. And we got the office space back here, so the project's really starting to come together.
Here's some stuff you need to know.
So on this house, we decided to go with the Color Plus, and that's the siding that has the paint baked on at the factory. You get a perfect paint job, and you save money on labor because it's already painted as it goes up. You know, people ask me on the radio show all the time, do I need to remove the old siding before I put on hardy? Well, it all depends on the condition of the old siding. Now in this case, the old siding, it's usable. So we're gonna be able to just go right over it, and that's gonna save us time on this job. But if you had some bad siding, you would just cut it off, patch in with some plywood, and you got a good base to get started with. All right, so the city's been out. We're waiting on the power company to come shut off the power to the old breaker box. And you can see how small the old breaker box was compared to the new one. And one of the issues, the reason we're going with such a large one, we just keep adding things to our homes that use electricity. If you look at a house 40 years ago that was built and you look at a house being built today, think about the electronics we've added over the years, and that's the reason we got to have more power coming to everybody's homes. And that's one of the reasons we keep running short of power on our power grids, is because we just keep adding things. Now, the fortunate thing is we're making things more energy efficient, so that kind of offsets the additional stuff, but we still have to have more breakers in order to run everything. So what's going to happen now is they're going to pull the main legs off of the power, then they can pull all the wires out of the old box, go ahead and set the new box, and they got to drop all those wires back in and hook them back up to breakers. And the whole time they got to make sure that all the circuits are complete and everything's working the way it's supposed to when it's all done, because what'll happen is it'll get a second inspection from the city, and then Encore will come back out and turn the power back on. Checking to make sure the fuel is turned on to the generator. When you fire up a generator, it'll run for typically a minute or two if you don't have the fuel turned on, but then the line goes dry and it's going to shut off. So you always want to make sure fuel line's on first. Most people think that you can only use radiant barriers in an attic, and that's just not the case. This is a multi-layer radiant barrier with a thermal break in the middle. It's designed to be sandwiched between materials. Now, I use this on the attic floor as well in my home, but on all exterior walls, this will really make your house a lot more energy efficient. We can literally put the sheetrock right over these walls. You'll never know it's there until you get your electric bill. As you can see, we're just about done getting the new electrical panel put in. Still got to get the final inspection, the power turned back on, and guess what? We're finished, and we got good power to the entire house with a new, safe electrical panel.
Next week on Texas Home Improvement.
The issue is, if you notice, the gap here between the addition and the original house is fairly tight. As you come up, it gets wider and wider. Well, we got the AC installed, we got the foundation stabilized, we're ready to move on the stuff that really starts making the house look like you're making progress, drywall. Now, drywall goes in real quick, makes it look like you did a lot of work. It's really a simple process. Let's get started. Hey, got a question during the week? Go to our website, thipro.com, and click on the Ask Jim button. If you're looking for a great contractor, one that'll treat you fair and get the job done right, go to thipro.com and take a look at the contractors in your area that I've already checked out. Don't forget to listen to Texas Home Improvement every Saturday and Sunday right here in Houston on News Talk 740 KTRH. This area can be turned into a wet bar area later, or dry bar, I guess I should say, not a wet bar. That wasn't a wet bar. There's no water in there. Hey, for more quick tips like these, go to our YouTube channel. I don't even know what our YouTube channel is. Why haven't you done anything about it yet? It's not going to get better by itself. The important part is hiring the right company. Due West has been in business since 1978. We'll take care of your foundation needs, and I'm way over time. All right, you can see we're just about finished getting the new electrical panel put in. We got let's start that again.
They'd have to be on our YouTube channel to see that.
Okay.
Starting.
I wasn't ready.
Oh. You gave me a look.
Oh.
That look was like, hey, I'm ready.
I didn't even realize I was looking at you. I was thinking.
Okay, I'll take it. That's on me.
So we'll end up with not the answer. So the way we're going to end it is, okay, so I think we know what we need to do.
Well, it's just like the other shows.
I know. So that's a formula.
It is a formula.
And that opens everything up to where you can come from outside into the new bathroom. So.
Bless you. You want to do it again, or
You're going to put that damn sneeze at the end,
most
aren't you?
definitely.
I'm going to have to find out where you live.